Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, it's Labor Day in San Diego and the beaches are packed. A live report on the holiday action and how lifeguards are keeping the beachgoers safe. Plus, Assembly Bill 5 will drastically change how independent contractors are handled by the people they work for. We speak to people who would be directly affected. And the East Coast prepares for an unpredictable Hurricane Dorian. How the Sunshine State of Florida is handling the situation. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. It's September 2nd. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's Labor Day, which marks the unofficial end of summer. As expected, lifeguards have their work cut out for them, with thousands packing the beaches. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman is in Mission Beach right now. How's it going out there, Matt?
Maya, it's busy. There's a lot of people out here. It's a little hot and a little humid, but other than that, it is very nice out here. The sun just poked out from the clouds. But this is Labor Day weekend. You heard it. Today's Labor Day. It's one of the busiest times of the year for San Diego beaches. And as you can see, there's a ton of people out here enjoying the fun and the sun. But lifeguards have had their hands full. We actually just saw a medical aid rescue just happen. There's lots of stuff been going on out here. Lifeguards have been making lots of rescues. Just yesterday, 34 rescues, 32 medical aid calls. And lifeguards say that thousands of people have been turning out to the beaches.
So yesterday, I think we had over 100,000 people come to our beaches, so it is definitely packed. We're definitely responding to a lot of medical aids, some water rescues, and some boating incidents as well. Labor Day is definitely a busy holiday. Memorial Day is obviously a busy holiday, as well as the 4th of July. So those three holidays, we're prepared and ready to go for anything that might happen. Yeah, so after today, we're going to go to fall staffing. So some of the seasonal towers won't be open, but we're definitely going to be out watching the water and making sure that everybody's safe.
Yeah, and as you just heard him, lifeguards will start to decline after this weekend. This is like sort of their peak season. The lifeguard sergeant we talked to said that, it's been a pretty calm summer for them in terms of rescues, but today and yesterday, this weekend has been very, very busy for them. And not just here on the beaches, out on the water too. There's been a couple boating accidents that have happened this weekend. Lifeguards just want to make sure everyone stays safe. They've seen some stingray stings out here, but yeah, this is what's going on out here. If you're wondering, Maya, the water temperature, 72 degrees today.
Absolutely beautiful. Thanks so much for that report, Matt. And Hurricane Dorian is breaking records as it moves across Grand Bahama, switching between Category 4 and Category 5 hurricane status. It's the strongest storm to ever hit the Bahamas. And as it heads toward the U.S., millions of Americans are under mandatory evacuation orders. Emily Schmidt has more on what could be next.
Dorian showed up strong in the Bahamas with two menacing measures of speed. The first speed, fast. 155-mile-an-hour winds late Monday morning caused what the country's prime minister called unprecedented devastation. The second hurricane speed is slow. The storm itself moving at only about 1 mile per hour, meaning water and wind keep pummeling homes.
That height has to be about 20 to 25 feet above sea level.
At this point, hurricane models aren't certain if Dorian will make landfall in the U.S. Tuesday or stay offshore. That uncertainty means 3 states, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, have counties under mandatory evacuation orders.
Get out now while you have time, while there's fuel available, and you'll be safe on the roads.
I would not take any chances with this one.
Some people say they are going against that advice.
We've decided to stay, just hunker down, so we got a lot of the provisions last week when we thought it was going to be here yesterday.
Meanwhile, storm shelters are open. Ports and airports are closing.
Hopefully on one of the last flights out of here.
Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport shut down at noon Monday, getting ahead of a storm, which is on its own schedule for arrival. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
And 5 San Diego firefighters are in Florida helping coordinate search and rescue missions as Hurricane Dorian continues its path of destruction. Even more local firefighters could be heading there soon. San Diego Fire Rescue heads up a FEMA-sponsored urban search and rescue team, with Dorian continuing to move through parts of the southeastern U.S. As many as 70 local firefighters could be tapped to help rescue people. Any minute they could get a call and would have to pack up and leave within 4 hours.
We have equipment for breaking, breaching, lifting, shoring buildings. We have boats and motors for operating in a flooded environment, logistical support for our personnel, medical equipment for our personnel, as well as people that we rescue.
And if deployed, the task force could be going door to door to rescue people. The team's last deployment was to the Camp Fire in Northern California last year. A massive rescue operation is underway near Santa Cruz Island off the coast of Ventura County. Dozens of people are confirmed missing after a commercial diving boat caught fire early this morning while most of the passengers were asleep. Connor Powell has the latest.
A diving vessel captain making a desperate call for help just after 3 a.m. local time.
What is your position and number of persons on board? Over.
I can't breathe.
Boat fire off Santa Cruz Island.
39 people were on board the 75-foot Conception when a fire broke out. The boat was anchored near Santa Cruz Island in Southern California. Officials say a Good Samaritan crew saved 5 people from the boat.
The crew was actually already awake and on the bridge, and they jumped off.
The other passengers were below deck, likely trapped once the blaze ignited.
Currently, 34 people aboard the vessel are unaccounted for. My understanding, or the report I received, they were below decks asleep.
Rescue crews face foggy conditions and intense flames, refusing to go out.
Fire department crews were fighting the fire when the vessel sank 20 yards offshore in 64 feet of water.
Now officials are hoping some passengers were able to escape and swim to shore.
Right now they're conducting shoreline searches for any available survivors.
A team from the NTSB is now en route to California to investigate. In Ventura, California, I'm Connor Powell reporting.
This Labor Day, the California legislature is considering a bill that would dramatically decrease the number of independent contractors in the state. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar spoke to some of the workers who'd be affected by it.
Got rags wiping, tea tree oil. This is different types of scent bomb.
Chris Whitehead has been driving for Lyft for a few months since he got out of the Navy after 9 years.
And I do it to supplement my income because of the time. And there's certain times of the day where you can make money and make your own schedule. So it's awesome.
He says he loves the flexibility of creating his own hours so that he can focus on his other passions like piano and poker. But he thinks a bill that would dramatically decrease the number of independent contractors in California, like rideshare drivers, would be a game changer.
People who ride Lyft and do this are typically doing it because they like to do things in between doing other things. Lots of entrepreneurs, college kids, all sorts of people from the military. And I think if you tell them, hey, you have to work this time to this time, they're going to view this like any other job.
The bill authored by San Diego Democratic Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez would limit when businesses and companies could classify their employees as independent contractors.
And we're confident that after AB 5, 2 things will happen. There will be more people who are able to create a true small business, not controlled by a broker or a third party. And then there will be people who will get the labor protections they need.
Thousands of workers in California, from nail technicians to hairstylists, would become full-time employees of companies. That would give them access to rights and benefits like minimum wage, paid sick days, and overtime. But back at the rideshare parking lot at the San Diego airport, no Lyft or Uber drivers I spoke to said they supported the bill. Most, like Lesbia Cobian, said she liked the freedom of not being an employee.
I'm 53, so if I have to go to a doctor's appointment, I just can work as hard as I want in 1 week, stop that day, get my surgeries done, come back, and have my job. And I've been doing this 3 years, and this is my only source of income. And I believe if they do that employment thing, it's going to ruin it for a lot of people.
Gonzalez expects the bill to pass both houses of the legislature before they recess on September 13th. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
The county is warning hikers to take extra precautions after ticks carrying what's sometimes called rabbit fever were found at one park. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh says Lopez Canyon is ground zero.
County Vector Control has located 6 cases of ticks carrying tularemia, sometimes called rabbit fever. All of the cases were found in Lopez Canyon Trail in Sorrento Valley. That's where Quentin Munoz was hiking with his brother Alex.
Definitely look out, always check up on dogs, check your legs. We like to, as soon as we go home, we have a special shampoo to wash off. But yeah, just staying really cautious.
The last time they came out, they brought their dog. They left him home this time because he came home covered in ticks.
Yeah, so last time we went to the right side of the canyon and there were 20 ticks on him.
There are signs all over Lopez Canyon warning people about the ticks. And this is where the county says they reside, right down here at the edge of the trails. They're telling people to stay clear of the edge. If you want to bring pets here, that's fine, but go ahead and keep them on a leash. Other advice includes wear insect repellent and frequently check clothing and skin, and of course, steer clear of handling wild rodents which carry the disease. County Vector Control found ticks carrying tularemia last year, also in Lopez Canyon. The disease is treated with antibiotics, but it can sometimes cause death. Cases of tick-related illness in humans remains rare in the area. There hasn't been a case of tularemia diagnosed in San Diego County since 2005. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
The measles outbreak in the United States continues to grow. As of Friday, the number of cases reached 1,234. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That number is 19 cases more than the previous week. Cases have been confirmed in 31 states, including here in San Diego. The CDC says most are among people who were not vaccinated against measles. It also reported more than 75% of measles cases were linked to outbreaks in New York State and New York City. Water customers in the city of San Diego will be seeing another increase on future bills. The increase, which went into effect yesterday, is part of a yearly increase approved by the San Diego City Council back in 2015. The city says the 4.82% increase will pay for infrastructure investments, quality testing, and costs that are passed down from other agencies. Together with the almost 1.5% increase from the San Diego County Water Authority, the total increase for this year is 6.28%. Customers living in a single-family home and using about 9,000 gallons of water per month will see about a $5.50 increase on their monthly bill. Researchers at the Qualcomm Institute at UC San Diego are commemorating the second year of the Sun Cave. KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chatlani took advantage of the occasion to do some cave exploring.
While it looks like I'm enjoying a vacation in the middle of ancient Greece right now, I'm actually not. I'm in the middle of 70 high-resolution screens in a virtual reality cave at the Qualcomm Institute on the UC San Diego campus. And even cooler, I got to speak to the software developer behind it all. Within this 360-degree structure, a bright digital art piece is bouncing countless color pixels towards me. It's powered by 35 computers.
Here we are in the Sun Cave. The Sun Cave is a virtual reality environment that can display 500 million pixels, and it's with that the highest resolution virtual reality environment on the planet.
Jürgen Schulz, the computer scientist who developed the software for this project, says he's pretty sure it is the highest resolution cave in the world because no one has contradicted Qualcomm researchers yet. Schulz says UCSD researchers, or even companies that want to rent out this cave filled with 4K resolution screens, can use it to display data in three-dimensional format. For instance, an excavation site in Israel that was captured with drone technology and can be navigated on the screen through a controller.
The moment you hold it, that's when you start the motion, and then you just slightly move your hand in the direction that you want to fly. And the more you move your hand, the faster you're going to fly.
Schulz also shows off a floating hemoglobin blood cell protein that researchers can view in depth, and a mock-up for a new student center that he says an architectural firm could use to show a client what it might be like to walk up a flight of stairs.
Then you can go up the stairs. You can look at, what do you see when you're up here on the stairs? Is it important that there's something interesting in the background there or not?
The point of this data visualization is that it allows the viewer to see more complex data than in a static 2D format. And it's all produced with 2 computing labs worth of energy and processing power. Though, Schultz says, these types of caves aren't new.
To render just something on the cave walls, that's not that new. The algorithms are the same. They just had to be adapted to this particular geometry. But we then developed new algorithms that allowed us to render more points and more higher resolution data sets in the space because there's just so much more detail that the displays can produce.
The Sun Cave was built about 2 years ago. It follows Qualcomm's Star Cave, which only supported around 60 million pixels, just 10% of what this cave can render. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
The trade war between the United States and China is escalating, with a new chapter in the tariff battle between the two countries. John Lawrence reports.
President Trump not backing down to Beijing.
We can't allow China to rip us off anymore as a country. We can't allow China to take $500 billion a year out of our country.
This weekend, the U.S. started implementing a 15% tariff on some consumer goods from China, including shoes, TV sets, and clothes. The president has another phase of tariffs against China set to go into effect in mid-December.
This message on sticking it to China is really powerful, both with his base within the Republican Party, but also some of that crossover appeal to sort of independent or even some Democratic voters, union voters.
China has countered with its own tariffs against the U.S. on billions of dollars of U.S. goods.
The question is, are consumers going to start to notice prices going up for things that you buy at Target?
This trade war has had a ripple effect, causing concern for executives and investors worldwide. But despite the tit-for-tat tariffs, the U.S. and China are still expected to meet for another round of trade talks later this month.
You just don't know whether today's optimism that we're on a path towards resolution is going to be what we feel tomorrow or a week later.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Trafficking cheetahs to the rich in the Middle East could mean an end to the species. Crammed into boxes smuggled from Somaliland across the Gulf of Aden to the Arabian Peninsula, baby cheetahs are forced to take this risky sea journey so that they can become status symbol pets to the rich. 2 out of every 3 cubs die by journey's end. CNN's Jamana Karache reports.
Barely a couple of weeks old, Gaulis is clearly in desperate need of his mother. But this orphan cheetah is one of the lucky ones, rescued from the illegal wildlife trade. Across the Horn of Africa, if the mothers aren't killed, the cubs are snatched from them, smuggled in cramped crates and cardboard boxes. By the time they get to this shelter, they're barely alive. According to the Cheetah Conservation Fund, some 300 cubs are smuggled out of this region every year. And for every one that makes it into captivity, another 3 die on the way.
That valley down there is becoming known as the cheetah supermarket. That's because many of the trafficked cheetahs are being smuggled across this porous border with Ethiopia into Somaliland.
This breakaway state from Somalia is the main transit route for the trafficked cats out of the Horn of Africa, smuggled across the Gulf of Aden to the Arabian Peninsula. The survivors of the rough journey become an exotic accessory, like designer bling, as rich Gulf Arabs compete for social media clicks. At least 1,000 cheetahs are estimated to be in private hands in Gulf states. According to experts, most die within a year or 2 in captivity. Although private ownership and trading of wildlife is banned in most Gulf states, enforcement is lax. Illegal online sales are starting to be policed, but if you really want a cheetah, they're not hard to find.
This is an online Saudi marketplace, and when we searched for cheetahs, several listings came up, some advertising 2- to 3-year-old cheetahs, others selling young cubs.
This man in Saudi Arabia is eager to sell.
الطلب اللي تبغين ذكر تبغين انت ما تفرق يعني من افريقيا نورد احنا عن طريق موقع مع واحد من الشباب وعندنا واحد ساكن هناك برضه انا اخذت من عندهم فوق ال 80 حبه.
$6,600 US seems to be the starting online price in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi government did not respond to CNN's repeated requests for comment. There are only 7,500 cheetahs left worldwide, half the number from just a decade ago.
People who have a cheetah as a pet are causing the species to go extinct.
It's leading the way towards extinction. Mr. Bottle is one of the favorite toys that we've found.
American biologist Lori Marker and her Cheetah Conservation Fund are racing to save the species from extinction.
This is not how a baby cheetah should be living. They need to be living out in the wild.
They've set up this safe house in Somaliland for the rescues. It's bursting at the seams.
Seeing them in here, it breaks my heart.
You can see why people call them cats that cry.
It's our responsibility to give them the very best care that they can have and to try to save every single one of them.
10-month-old Kitty is in intensive care, the last survivor of 3 sisters.
She is not one of our healthiest cats, and it probably does have a lot to do with where she started in life.
Despite the team's efforts, Kitty didn't make it.
These animals are a smaller population, a very rare population, and from that, each one of them do carry a different genetic code.
This one is a male.
Every cub gets microchipped. Their DNA is recorded. Without a mother, they have to be taught how to hunt and survive in the wild.
It takes sometimes months to try to get one cheetah to get on its feet.
Neju Jimmy, a soon-to-be vet, is their main caregiver.
I love them so much, so I don't even see my mom once a week. She lives over there.
According to Marker, there are only about 300 adults in unprotected areas in the Horn of Africa.
If you do your math, the math kind of shows that it's only going to be a matter of a couple years that we're not going to have any cheetahs in this region left.
Many have already been lost to conflict with humans. Somaliland wildlife authorities are busting traffickers. It's illegal here, along with private ownership. But in the capital, Hargeisa, a popular restaurant advertises burgers and captive lions, pacing in the background for selfies. For 3 years, this cheetah on a short rope has been the star attraction for paying clients to pet, poke, and pose with. The owner insists it's legal.
We have a license to keep these animals. And plus, this guy, there's only one cheetah here, and he has a lot of space to run around.
Why it was tolerated in plain sight went unanswered by the authorities. More are hidden behind walls. Even as we're leaving Somaliland, 2 more cheetahs have been confiscated from a house here in Hargeisa. 3 more were seized just a few days later. As long as there's a demand by the rich, creating a lucrative trade for the poor, the cheetah's future hangs in the balance. Time is not on their side. Jumana Karache, CNN, Hargeisa, Somaliland.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, tracking Hurricane Dorian as it moves beyond the Bahamas and closer to the United States. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
It is hot and humid out there with cloud coverage. Probably not the best Labor Day weather, but will it continue? Meteorologist Marvin Gomez has our forecast.
Hope you enjoyed your Monday. Thanks for staying with us. I'm AccuWeather's Marvin Gomez, and the lows coming down to 73 tonight. Partly cloudy skies, humidity levels relatively high. Could be a little bit sticky for tonight across the rest of our area. We are going to see temperatures come down to 70 degrees across Oceanside, Ramona 67, Borrego Springs 81, and a little bit chillier near Mount Laguna with lows coming down into the mid to low 60. Chula Vista 71 degrees for tonight. Heading into tomorrow afternoon, we'll once again get into the 80s across that area. To the north, San Diego 83 as well, 85 across Oceanside, and in the interior regions closer to Borrego Springs, that's where we are going to be tracking temperatures near or I should say above the triple-digit mark, and we could have some spotty showers and storms as well. As we head into the midweek, we are going to see the monsoonal moisture make a return throughout much of the southwest, and right there you can see how across portions of Southern California throughout our area we could have some spots with a couple of showers. Along the coast, however, that's not going to be the case. We will stay dry for the next couple of days, partly sunny conditions heading into our Wednesday, and humidity levels will be picking up as we head into the second half of the work week. Inland 93 for Tuesday, Wednesday 95, temperatures staying steady in the mid-90s throughout much of the region. Overall dry conditions expected here, but across the deserts, that's where we are going to be seeing the heat and also the potential for an afternoon shower or storm. Temperatures at 109 heading into our Tuesday, and near the mountains, well, the weather pattern expected to be mostly quiet, lots of sunshine for everyone, temperatures near 80 degrees. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather's Marvin Gomez.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.